Welcome to Creators in Their Pivot Season. I'm your host, Crystal Brown, but you can call me C. And we're here to explore the self-doubt, the uncertainty, the messy middle of pivoting as creatives, and how we're going to dig deeper into discovering that there is power in your pivot. This is not your regular podcast. This is a space for those who are in the in-between, no clarity, no map. We're just here. I am a multifaceted creative, New York native, founder, and honestly, I'm a woman literally in her own pivot. This space isn't about arrival. It's about truth. It's literally about being able to show up as you are. Clearly, this experience has been a labor of love for me. It started about 6 months ago, and I am just so excited for you guys to be along this journey with me, because we're not starting polished, perfect. We're starting exactly from day one. So this podcast was born from a quiet moment in burnout. It looked like I was doing well. I was literally in my prime at my job. I was freelancing. I was working with clients. And literally the day before New Year's Eve, I got let go. So as you know, as creatives, when you have a job, you feel like that becomes your identity. That is something that you are connected to. So when you don't have that sense of stability, you can feel like the world is about to end. And that's exactly how I felt. I felt lost. I felt like everything that I worked for was over. And I didn't really give myself enough space to be in the in-between and to truly understand that me rebuilding and having this pivot was monumental. But one thing I realized is after this layoff and after trying to figure out the next route for me to go and trying to figure out if I wanted to go the entrepreneurial route or stay into corporate, I realized sometimes as creatives, we don't allow ourselves to really figure out what is that we really want to do, because we're always going one way. Being a creative is not linear. And once you leave something like a job, stability, now you have to find a way in order to redefine yourself. And that may look like staying in isolation, being away from people, your friends, and trying to kind of like grind. But then in that moment, we might pop out with a rollout. We might pop out redefining ourselves, looking different. And we're always used to celebrating the launch, but not the limbo. This space I wanted to create with truth. And what I mean by that is being able to, like I said before, show up exactly how you are without the client, without the business, without the plan, the strategy, and give yourself some time to actually breathe. Being able to say, look, I don't know what's next, and allow that to still be valid. We don't always have to have it together. We don't always have to have everything figured out. And I know that's easy enough for me to say, but as much as I'm telling this to you, I'm telling it to myself. This podcast is not only for the multi-hyphenates who have an endless list of amazing talent, who love to do many things. This is for the 9-to-5er who wants to get into entrepreneurship but doesn't know how. This is for the person who wants to try something new but doesn't have to have a title attached to it in order for it to be sufficient. You can still wear many hats and still literally figure it out. This is for the creators who have outgrown their old dreams but are still figuring out their new ones. Not being able to stay attached to the old version of yourself when you're creating something. You don't have to always follow your old dreams, because part of pivoting, you're not going to be the same person you were 2 years, 2 months ago, or even 2 days. You have to kind of see yourself as always evolving, because not growing kills your creativity. This is for the pivoters who are not only changing industries, changing their own identities. It also sometimes, I'll be honest, has to deal with your priorities. As we know, when you pivot, there can always be a financial situation. Look, adulting is adulting. We all have bills. We all have responsibilities. But sometimes you might have to pivot because you might have to take a pay cut. You might have to move. Your responsibilities might be different than the next creative, but just because you're pivoting, make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. And sometimes you may not have that luxury of choosing. It might just happen to happen. But just know that every part of your pivot is a part of your story for a reason. Or maybe you're freelancing. You're starting over. Maybe you're grieving something that once was, or you're building something that doesn't even exist yet. Particularly like this podcast. This is a platform and a community for creatives who don't really have it all figured out, but don't have to feel bad because you don't. There's nothing that says that starting over, shifting, or going a different direction is a failure. It's actually the blessing in disguise. So, what better way to introduce this experience while talking about my own pivot? I've worked over the years with big brands like Nike, Visa, BET, different agencies, entrepreneurs, creatives, and I've held really establishing titles. But I'll be honest, in 2023, I kind of hit a wall. And I felt invisible in my own life. And I feel like a part of me and who I am, I love to do hard things. I am a believer that accomplishment doesn't have to go as far as career-wise. It can be outwardly. And I decided to run, literally. And I decided to run 2 half marathons in the first year of running. And then, funny enough, running a full marathon in the same year, the New York City Marathon. And trust me, that process was not an easy feat. I've always said I wanted to run, but you know how being on the bucket list, anybody can say that. But in that year, I learned something about myself. Thinking of the ideology about running, right? When we think about ourselves as creatives, we're not going to be a master automatically when we're trying something new. And that's exactly the type of mindset I had when I went running. Trust me, running a 26-minute mile is not sexy at all. But I did it. I was accomplished. I literally continued to train. I went on YouTube looking up different nutritional plans. I'm watching videos about tempo and how to run, breathing. And I did my research. Every day, every other week, I would run. I had to get new shoes, all these things. And that's the part about starting something new or changing the direction. I'm not new to wellness. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. But running definitely was not on my forte. But I knew that I wanted to challenge myself because I believed if I couldn't accomplish something career-wise at that moment, I wanted to accomplish something for me. And that's what I set out to do. 732 miles exactly later, 11 months of training, I was able to run 26.2 miles. The one thing I realized, well, the number one rule in running that I've learned was that in order to run faster, you have to run slow. And I know that sounds backwards, but it's true. You have to figure out what your pace is. You have to know your breathing. But you can kind of get overwhelmed with how society feels like you have to be. You have to run at this pace. You have to beat this PR, personal record. But you can kind of get overwhelmed when you're starting out new. You can kind of feel like, oh, I have to be at this pace, or I have to be in this type of category to kind of seem like you're at this status that you should be. When you're starting out running, that's like the least thing that you should be worried about. So as I kept practicing, I realized that my pace is my own. And the finish line is going to be there, and nobody can get you to the finish line but you. So regardless of what pace or what mile you're on, you have to make sure that you're doing it for yourself. That's similar to pivoting. When you're pivoting, you're trying something new, you have to know that you're doing it because it's for you and not anybody else. Because regardless, you're the only one that's going to get across that finish line. Nobody's going to run for you. So I knew in this moment that after I accomplished this, I didn't know honestly how to feel. I felt like, oh, okay, cool. And I really didn't know the impact or inspiration I was giving to others until I look back at it. And sometimes as a creative, we can always get in isolation, right? Imagine if I would have ran 26.2 miles and I didn't tell a soul. I didn't record anything. I didn't show my progress. Would you really believe me? I don't think that you would really, you would see the medal and be like, oh my gosh, she accomplished that. That's great. But the fact that I showed up every day, I recorded, I showed you guys me dying in the streets of Jersey and going up these hills, doing drills, and literally showing the progression and building out loud. That's a new thing now. People are building in public because that eliminates the barrier of self-doubt, that allows people to kind of see what exactly you're doing in the process and not just at the end tail, like not at the outcome. Being able to show people how things get done in the messiness, in the middle, where things don't go right, where it's 70 degrees outside and you're running great, and then the next day it's 90 degrees and you're dying. And then you're like, okay, I just did 14 miles, I'm not doing that tomorrow. Or it's about showing people how you're just human. Like, things happen. So that's what I did. And being able for me to show the process of how I ran and how I accomplished that goal, because I still can't believe it to this day, but the medals are hanging up. It allows people to know that they can relate to you. There was so many people, so many friends I know that actually started running after that, and just being able to kind of share that moment allowed me to know that I can do anything. So that's why I believe that wellness fuels creativity. After I finished the marathon, I took a moment. I thought about what I wanted to do business-wise, and I founded Superpower Studios July of that year. And I just went for it. I said, I want to be able to establish a place, a lab where I can work with small businesses, I can work with clients, and I can bring their experiences to life, whether that's design, brand strategy, now experiential marketing. I want to be able to redefine the way that I make people feel after working with me. For over a decade, I've worked with agencies, brands, different initiatives from across many industries like financial services, entertainment, wellness, tech, sports. The list can go on. But even with holding all of those titles, I still felt like I didn't know my own. When one thinks about redefining themselves as a creative, one has to think about what that looks like outside of your brand. I know you hear that a lot about rebranding yourself and having a niche and all of those things, but it could come so easy when you're working with a client or you're working on a project and building somebody else's dream, right? But the minute it comes to yours, you're like, damn, what do I say? Like, what is my messaging? What is my tone? Everything has to be cookie cutter perfect. But the difference is when you're working for somebody else's brand, they have the control, they have the vision, you're just guiding it. But when it comes to your vision, there's a moment of doubt, imposter syndrome, all of the things that you can think of that doesn't keep you moving forward. I think when you're a creative, sometimes we feel like we have to keep the momentum going. We have to keep moving forward. We have to show up. We have to continuously punch in our clock, punch out, and there's no period where we can just be. So what can you expect here? This space is raw conversations, honest truths, Every other week, I get to sit down with creatives like you, freelancers, entrepreneurs, founders, visionaries, doers, and dreamers who are literally either pivoting, have pivoted, or trying to figure out what's next for them. At the end of every episode, I have this special segment, which is called the Pivot Toolkit, where I have every guest, including me, give a mindset, a habit, a certain tool, or maybe a mantra that has helped you through the process and that they can leave behind for the next person. So, what I'm going to leave for you is I have a mindset shift, one that has helped me, one that's currently helping me. Um, Without this, I don't think you'll be able to continue to evolve. When you think about everything going on in your life, regardless of it being negative, regardless of it being transformative, regardless of you just trying just to take a beat, in order for you to be the best version of yourself, wherever that might look like for you, it's literally knowing your why. If you don't know your why, that is what's going to separate you from the next person. We're in a world right now where we have to constantly show up as we are, but that is your ticket of how you differentiate yourself from the next person. It's not degrees, not your talent, even though those do still matter. It's literally about why you continue to show up, why your talent and why your creativity matters to you. Knowing your why allows you to redefine success on your own terms. It allows you to know what your North Star is versus somebody else's. Because I fell into that trap as well. Following another person's journey thinking that, oh, I can do that too. Or maybe I should go that route. Or, you know what? That's a great trend. Let me hop on that. But I think sometimes we can think that what we're trying to do or what we're trying to accomplish or who we're trying to be has to be accepted by everybody else but us. It's exhausting to really be a creative. I don't think a lot of people understand that. Like, there's so many things that we go through and deal with just to use our imagination to create a different version of the world with the things that we see, the things that we do, the type of stories that we tell. And the biggest part of telling my story is being able to sit here, put the camera on, record, and tell you. And I've been having the craziest feeling right now of being able to share this part of me, because sometimes it's not about like being able to share this version of me. I think it's seeing my voice in action and knowing that my voice can finally be heard. I think that was the most scariest thing for me, was being able to be like, you know what, even though I'm doing this for a collective of us, I'm not speaking for everyone, but I'm speaking for the people that I know that are currently going through a situation similar to this. But there is power in your voice. There is power in being heard as you are. There is so much power in knowing that regardless of what you've been through and how many times you get knocked down, you can definitely get back up. I'm a testament to that, because I'm here right now. And regardless of what I've been through and how exhausted I've been and how many times I had to crash out a couple of times and talk to God and be like, look, I don't know what's going on, but I have to literally walk by your faith and not by sight. Sometimes you just have to keep going. And sometimes that looks like rest. Sometimes that looks like doing nothing. Sometimes it's hard to not do nothing as a creative. And people say that a lot, like just to do nothing. But there's sometimes in that stillness and that just being is when you kind of find clarity. And sometimes when a creative doesn't have clarity, they can kind of confuse that with stagnation or no momentum or no movement. And honestly, I'm just here. I'm excited, but also I feel better than what I was before. I think that um, it's not about how you finish, it's about how you start. It doesn't matter what part of your pivot you're in, it doesn't matter what age, it doesn't matter how many years of experience you have, it doesn't matter how many talents you have, it doesn't matter your background. I think it all matters about what you think is important to you and how do you want to show up in the world and how do you want to feel like your legacy is going to look like. How do you feel you want to be remembered? But you won't get there if you don't presently show up for yourself. I'm just really glad I don't look like what I've been through. I'm going to just say that. Literally, I really do not look like what I've been through. These past couple of years have been really hard for me, and I can sit up here now and give the illusion that everything is going great, but trust me, it's been a really long road for me. And I hear my friends tell me a lot about how strong I am and how they are so proud of me because the average person probably would have gave up by now. I'm literally creating this experience about pivoting while in a pivot with less to no resources, but my friends are here helping me and allowing me to see myself in the light and allowing me to see the better parts of myself and to be able to give this not only to myself but to you. And I'm just so appreciative to just be able to just get this out because this has literally been on my chest for a while. This just isn't a podcast. This is an experience for all of us to move forward, take that first step, take that first leap, just start. Just being here is just the beginning of becoming, right? I'm so elated that you guys have stuck around this long in order to be a part of this journey with me. I want this space to grow with us. Any questions, shifts, anything that feels unresolved, we can get through together. You literally don't have to be alone. I'm glad that I know that now because I have you here. If something in this episode has resonated with you, I'd love for you to stick around. This is just the beginning. Hit subscribe, leave a review, grab another creative in their pivot, bring them along for the ride. Every other week, I'm going to be interviewing founders and entrepreneurs, freelancers, doers, dreamers, visionaries, all alike. And we're going to be getting down to the nitty-gritty about their journeys and what they're going through and how we can be of a resource and a connection and a space for each other. So you definitely don't want to miss the next episode I have coming up because we're just getting started and I want this place to grow with you. For more behind-the-scenes content and the opportunity to support our platform, don't forget to like, subscribe, and engage with us through my Instagram at superpower.studios, CUPAPWR Studios. Also, all of my information and social media handles will be in the description box. So, if you'll come back, I'll be here. We launch September 9th. I just said it. So now it's in the atmosphere, so I can't look back. And yeah, your pivot now has a place.